Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We're here with another episode of Guided by Spirit. I am your host, Richard LaRocco, and my amazing co-host, Miss Pauline Raffaella. How you doing, Pauline?
Hi, Richard. I'm doing well today. Beautiful weather here.
Absolutely. Last week was much better. It's a little hot, which I'm ready for fall. I
Yes,
don't know. Are you a pumpkin spice kind of fan?
yes, I'm a pumpkin girl. Yes.
Me
Pumpkin.
too. I
Oh,
love it. Pumpkin stuff I love.
yes,
Absolutely. Fall is my favorite time. The
yes,
brisk, the leaves, the air. Oh my gosh.
yes.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
This autumn is like candle season for me. So I love candles. And so I just bought like a bunch of like autumn wreath candles and lavender oak and cinnamon spice and pumpkin spice. So I have a little candle burning every day because I love the scent, and it's just warm and homey and cozy.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to have a great show for you today. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of stuff energetically,
Yeah.
with universally speaking going on, and Pauline's going to dive into that. And we have a great topic for you, and everybody can relate to this. So, one of the things when we come up with a topic is what do we experience? What is going on in our lives? Because if we're experiencing it, you're experiencing it. So, let's start with universally speaking. What do you got for us, Pauline? What are we dealing with?
Sure. So, universally speaking, we have an upcoming full moon lunar eclipse. All right. A lot of people are talking about it. Astrologers, light workers. Okay. We're already starting to feel it. It will happen next week on September 18th. And I think that's on Wednesday next week. And so, eclipses bring change. And the way I always see it, and the way I experience the energy of these eclipses, is the lunar eclipses bring out what's hidden, and the solar eclipses push us forward. So we have a full moon lunar eclipse next week in the sign of Pisces. Now, Pisces is the psychic sign, psychic energy, dreaminess, fantasy. All right. And Pisces is represented by the two fish going in like two different directions. And so the challenge of Pisces is to be able to get clear in your mind, because the shadow side of Pisces is delusion, illusion, fantasy, not seeing things clearly. So we have a full moon lunar eclipse in this sign next Wednesday. I expect this to be quite revealing, not only for the things that have been hidden in our life, or the things that we're kind of like off to the side and we're like maybe kind of looking, but not really looking. And then there's the world and everything that's happening now. And so I have a feeling, like many other astrologers and people, that this is going to be a huge wake up and revelation of things that have been hidden, that are going to come to light with clarity.
I've been experiencing that. I've had interactions with people, and you all of a sudden kind of see through the smoke screen that they're presenting, and you see agendas right as clear as can be. Signs of manipulation, intention. And it's not always from a psychic standpoint, but it's almost things are becoming more transparent.
Well, yes, they are, right? The veil is very thin during this time, as we say, between, heaven and earth, and we can see the truth because it's so obvious. And so we come out, we're coming at, not just through this eclipse, in general, those of us who keep evolving, we're coming out of delusion. We've been living in the illusion and the delusion for as long as we've been alive on earth. Okay. bought into certain systems, bought into certain mindsets, bought into all of the limitations, and we're coming out of that now. And so this eclipse is going to be huge, huge, potentially upheaval-ish in many ways, not only for us personally, but I think in the country, in the world, upheaval. Because when truth
Well,
comes out, you either have to recognize it or you're going to deny it.
yeah. Well, and
And
that's the thing too. And a lot of people say, well, when I feel this, or I sense this, or I see this, people's energy, like they walk up to you and you kind of understand exactly what they want, where they're coming from.
yes,
They want to use you, they want to capitalize, whatever it is. And people say, well, how do I keep this going? I always say acknowledge it. When it happens, say, yes, why am I feeling this? What am I experiencing?
mhm,
Be very present and then move forward. Boundaries have been big. And I
yes.
think from what you're saying, we're going to need more boundaries.
Yes, first we're going to need to recognize the truth that's being revealed to us personally and in many different ways. And then, yes, we'll have to process that. And we may need to set boundaries or remove ourselves from certain things that we now realize aren't serving us anymore, that maybe we thought were good, and or certain situations or opportunities, or maybe it's just time to move on. There will be a lot of clarity because this full moon, remember, the full moons illuminate what's been hidden. It illuminates the darkness. And so, and it's in Pisces. So it's like a double whammy of revealing what's hidden, what's delusional. All right. So that we can see it, so that we can heal it, so that we can finally take control of it.
I think that's going to be big for us. And you really kind of nailed it when you said about separating yourself, boundaries, what doesn't work. Listen, I have had to do this a lot. I've had boundaries. I have boundaries on and zero tolerance with certain things. See, the energy is making it crazy.
I guess so. Yes, she's agreeing.
She's agreeing, and it's okay. Usually we'll say when energy is draining and making kind of chaos, we say center and ground. This time, what we're experiencing is if you are noticing things coming up for you, triggers, which we're going to talk about, right? It is okay. Empower yourself and give yourself permission to put up boundaries. I do that a lot in my personal life. I don't interact with a lot of people, and that's okay. I'm very selective, not because I just don't want the energy exchange, because it's usually one-sided. On my page, some negativity and things like that. I have a zero tolerance. You're gone. And it's just because when people do that, it not only affects you, but it affects how you project to others.
Mhm.
What are they sitting in? So boundaries are one of the most healthy forms of healing you can ever show
Yes.
or experience.
Yes. And I do think that this full moon, this eclipse rather, is going to activate quite a lot of triggers for everyone, personally, maybe in community, maybe within families, maybe whatever it is. I do think there's going to be some triggers triggered with this full moon. Do we have someone asking a question?
Yeah, well, it was so we have a Deborah. She says this resonates so much. Released a job this morning that was fine, but not taking me on my path. Good for you.
Yes,
And that's exactly what we need to do. I've had to do
yes.
this recently. Um, it's if events or venues or opportunities arise, it's not that I'm super selective, but I do what is for my highest and best. How many people can I impact? What can I do? And if it's, there's never a square peg round hole. So Deborah, if something doesn't work for you, you know right away, spirit will guide you and go where you're needed. So people think, yeah, but if the door shuts, it doesn't work that way. Another will open, and who knows? And they hold on to opportunities and they conform. Um, and they try to make it work. Remember this, if something doesn't resonate with you, it's spirit guiding you in another direction to get you to where you need to be. That's how I view everything.
Yeah.
I view it that way. Guided by spirit, GBS, I mean, that's why name of the show, we live this. So follow it, Deborah. Awesome job. And keep going. So let's talk about how do we know this triggers? We mentioned triggers. So what is a trigger, Pauline?
Oh, it's that little zing that you feel when someone has said something or something has happened, and all of a sudden your feathers are ruffled and you're feeling all like, defensive or not happy, or that's not true, or, our triggers, right? Our triggers are activated when it's hit a sore spot, a weak spot, a spot that needs to be healed within us. And it is, the mirror is happening. Okay. The mirror is being right put in front of you, and you're being triggered in in not a great way.
So triggers also, when you experience a trigger, it is a physical, mental, or emotional reaction to a situation or experience. Okay. Somebody acts a certain way. And a lot of times, if it resonates from a trauma experience or a situation occurs, PTSD, these are triggers. And when we have triggers, that means that healing has to occur.
Right.
Healing has to occur.
Right.
Triggers equal healing.
Right.
Right. And people say, well, I get this all the time, especially my students, all this. And they're sitting there and they'd be like, oh, I've done the work. I've healed. And all of a sudden they get triggered. I said, then that means that part that showed itself, you need to examine and go back in and do more healing for that specific feeling, emotion, insecurity,
Yes.
neglect, whatever it is.
Right. The triggers are connected to our wounds. Okay.
Yes.
They're connected to our wounds, whether they're small little wounds or whether they're bigger wounds. It doesn't matter. We're triggered because it's only a sign, and it's usually uncomfortable, especially physically. Right. And then the mind starts racing, trying to work its way out of that trigger. But once the trigger has been triggered, you can't undo it. And so, yeah. And so, it's a sign that there is something to revisit. There is something to go back and look at
Love that.
within yourself. Could be your childhood, could be your adolescence, it could be something that happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, with a stranger, with a family member, with a spouse. Could be it doesn't have to be like a trauma. It doesn't have to be a trauma. You could be triggered from the slightest little thing.
Absolutely. And that's the important part. So if you do have any questions with traumas or revolving around traumas or boundaries, and we're going to get to that, right? Give us a call, 646-558-8656. And the meeting ID is 820-252-05181. And it is in the comments and in the description. So please give us a call if you want to talk about, something that happened or occurred revolving triggers, or, you're triggered and you don't know how to handle it or what to do. If you have any questions, give us a call. We're here to help you because that's what's important. And people, listen, I knew somebody and I always said she had more triggers than a gun shop. Okay. I mean, everything triggered her, whether it was, somebody acting a certain way, saying a certain thing, whether they were male, female, you name it. It was unbelievable. And it was just, I felt so bad and my heart went out because the amount of healing that had to occur so was unbelievable. And she didn't heal. She walked around this way and it was not a real loving existence. It was just going through the motions and trying to survive. And Pauline, triggers are also coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
If you get triggered, it's kind of like something occurs, we throw up a trigger, we act a certain way, we shut down, we close off. So, what are some examples for you that you've experienced or have seen in your work
Mhm.
where triggers, how do we act out a trigger? Let's identify that.
Sure. Well, there's so many of them. Okay. So you could be divorced. You could have had a relationship that ended really badly. And then you either see two people getting along, laughing, having a great relationship, or you actually see that person you were involved with someone else. Huge trigger.
What
Locate
would
play.
what would be the physical component of that or the reaction?
Well, the trigger can vary, but usually we're feeling it either in the heart or in the gut. And right, it's almost like it can be a stabbing feeling, it can be a knot, it can be an emotion like anger all of a sudden, like from 0 to 100 anger, right? Or fear. People can have triggers towards locations, all right, where something may have happened. Um, they want to move away from that area. um Money is a big trigger, love is a big trigger. Politics is a huge trigger right now for people. And so we feel usually when we're triggered that we need to be right, or we're angry, or we want to correct somebody. These are all the defense mechanisms that were set up from the initial trigger, from the initial incident from years ago. And we've learned how to cope, just like you said. We've learned how to develop some way to cope with it. If we keep getting triggered by things, we're unhealed. Yeah, we're
So,
we're unhealed.
and one of the things, and you kind of summed it up. I mean, it could be a place, it could be an experience, it could be, in a lot of ways. I had a friend and she didn't want somebody for cognitive therapy who was a man
Right,
because she had man issues and
right.
she was instantly triggered because that's all that came up. Well, it could be a lot of things, that PTSD effect. So
Right.
when I want to identify a trigger, okay, when something happens that is maybe innocent, whether you see a couple and they're, googly eyed over somebody and you didn't receive that, whether it's in your childhood, your marriage, your relationship, partnership, whatever that might be, or you don't have that for yourself, and you have a mental, emotional, or physical reaction, that is a trigger.
Yes.
Make note of that. And
Yeah.
then sit with that feeling. Why am I being triggered?
Yes.
Okay. Here's a big one. Okay. Especially in a workplace corporate environment. Okay. Do you have that person in your office or your building or where you work that's always happy? Right? And it just gets you on. Oh my gosh, that little Miss Sunshine. Okay. And then it just like, I can't believe if she comes in here smiling one more day, ooh, I'm gonna, I wanna, oh, I haven't even had my coffee. Get away from me. Right? Why is that triggering for you?
I love that. I think
Right? And
that's a
everybody can relate. Everybody has somebody in their office that they know, a friend where literally it's sunshine and rainbows in their world. Meanwhile, in your world, it's thunder and lightning,
It's
right?
yes. Or even if it isn't thunder and lightning in your world, you're still being triggered by this person's happiness. And so you have to ask yourself, maybe I'm not allowing enough happiness in my life. And if that's the case, why am I doing that? Okay, where did I stop allowing the happiness? Who was instrumental in me not allowing so much happiness?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's an exploration. I love that, because this isn't really like a negative thing happening. This is actually a positive thing that's happening, but this happy person is just like pissing you off. It's just
It's
yeah.
and and it's even when I go to events, people sit there, or I work at a place, and people have experience, are like, you're always so happy and you're all this, because I'm a happy person.
Right, right.
I raise my vibration. I go walking. I do things for me. I'm mindful. I take care of myself,
Yes.
and no, that's not one of those, TikTok or social media words. I've been using that. I learned mindfulness, demure, mindful, demure. Have you heard that? The kids are saying, everybody's talking about demure, you
Oh,
know?
oh no, I haven't. Is that the new trend now?
That's a new trend. I'm demure.
Yeah.
I'm very demure. I'm mindful. Yes. No, in this world, we've been talking about mindfulness, and that's part of it. Being aware, being happy, living life. So when I'm triggered by something, I sit with it right away. Why? I ask, like biology class, why am I triggered? Who triggered me? What triggered me? How did that occur? Why did it occur? I try to get to the core of it so I understand, so that when I go to do my shadow work, which I know it's part of your little blue room, one of the chapters, and I have one of these journals right here, Love Your Shadow Self, to help you prompt a journal to help you go through this. Um, I want to understand, because when I remove the trigger, and it can be hard and it can be challenging, but when removing a trigger, you get to healing. Healing equals freedom.
Yes. Yes. And an emotional freedom. Like I always find the triggers are emotional.
Yes.
That was my journey. And look, it can still happen. And a lot of times when I work very deeply in the subconscious with people, it's all emotional triggers. Why am I triggered by witnessing two people, having a great time, right? And then in the subconscious, the person is like, well, my dad never showed me that, or my mom didn't show me that, or my siblings seem to get more love than me. And so it's the trigger is just a sign that there's some deeper emotional healing that needs to happen. And it's actually a good thing. It's challenging, but it's a good thing when it happens.
Triggers happen to everybody. But
Ever.
what I'm gonna say is thank you. Thank you. Um, This is a great question. I want to get to this real fast before we go on. So we have a Joanne. Such great advice, Richard. Met you and your loved your reading. Yes, triggers are emotional. I just lost a son when I met you. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. So okay, let's take this scenario. So Joanne, moving forward, identifying is, especially around the holiday times, when you do have, friends and family, or they go to talk about their son, they're going to college, they just got married, my son just had a child, you know, that could have an opportunity to trigger, and say, I don't have that and I don't want to hear that. So here's a really interesting part to this. One, if you are triggered with this, okay, it is okay to acknowledge and have boundaries. Listen, thank you for telling me about your son or this, but unfortunately, right now, I'm still in a grieving process. And
Mhm.
if we could please redirect the conversation to not include that. Now, most people that would seem very rude. Unfortunately, and not unfortunately, it's a boundary. you know, you can limit that, but then on your own time, do some of that work find peace. You will never have closure, Joanne, losing a loved one. That will never close the door. You will never close the door, closure on your loved one, but you can gain peace, peace of mind, peace of understanding, and foster a new relationship by talking to them in your heart space. But boundaries, what do you think, Pauline?
Yeah, and connecting with the loved one spiritually, and you know, and even developing some ability to feel their presence, and there is comfort in that. But I think that that was a beautiful description, Richard, of what you just described, and a circumstance, you know, that would be triggering and very difficult to navigate through, and that can take a long time as well.
Yes, and it is. And one of the things I always tell people when navigating that situation is to talk to them and talk to them, but don't, when you go to talk to them with, you know, like they were here. And when you go to listen, listen with your heart space. Don't listen or hear, you'll be there all day, but feel the words and feel the love, feel the connection. You know, that's where they live, within your heart space.
Yeah.
You know, so that is a great thing. But, you know, especially going into the holiday times, be very gentle with yourself. You know, if you are experiencing triggers or you're going into a situation that might trigger you, be gentle.
Yeah.
It's okay to have boundaries.
Yeah. And self-love and self-nurturing, and to be in a space where there's comfort, and to be with those who can also provide it. So yeah, yeah, because this is a deeper trigger, this particular situation that we're talking about.
Yeah. Listen, I experienced it myself. When my mother passed, one of the things that really kind of triggered me was holidays, and people going to families. And I didn't have any of that. I spent many holidays by myself,
Yeah.
because my mom was it. So Christmas time, I think it was many years before I even celebrated Christmas because I was constantly triggered. And I had to really embrace that, sit with it, and heal it so that I can move forward. Now I can't wait. And I got the fireplace going and all those pine something candles, Pauline, and you
Oh,
know, that you like. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
oh,
So, yeah.
yes. So you've worked through the emotions, okay? Challenging emotions, sadness, grief, maybe even some anger. And it takes time to work through that. But the triggers are usually they usually evoke some strong emotional wound.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And
And
I'm gonna be,
feel it. I like
and I'm
what
gonna
you said. We have to feel it, because you know what we want to do initially? Stuff it down.
put it in the closet, lock the door, walk away.
Yeah.
And that does not work because you know where that closet is? The subconscious.
Yes.
And that will actually manifest into more mental, emotional, and physical things, right?
Yes.
So, how do we know our subconscious? And this is kind of like a little side thing. How do we know our subconscious is holding on to too much trauma? Well, couple things. Stomach issues.
Yeah.
Do you have, you know, stomach issues? It comes up a lot in readings. I'm like, oh, you have nervous stomach. It could be IBS, ulcerative colitis, manifests into Crohn's disease, things of that nature. What's going on within the stomach,
Yeah.
right? Anxiety.
Mhm.
Anxiety. And I get this a lot where I'll say, oh, what's going on? I have a lot of anxiety going on here. Are you experiencing it? Well, everybody does. Well, not everybody,
Mhm.
but you're suppressing stuff. Think
Right.
of a pressure cooker. It's building up, you're not releasing it. Anxiety, migraines are another one. How
Mhm.
many times, Pauline, do you know somebody that went to the doctor and they can't figure out why they have constant chronic migraines?
Yes, of course. Lower back issues are another thing. The hips, the knees,
Yes.
the neck, the back of the neck. These are all signs.
Here's another one, autoimmune.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
specifically the mystery diagnosis, fibromyalgia.
Yes.
Fibromyalgia, you're carrying around chronic pain because you will not get rid of the pain your heart experienced.
Yeah, the emotional pain is still quite active, even though it's been compartmentalized or shoved down or put in the closet, as you say, Richard. And yes, but it's still there. It is
100%. It's
still
playing
there.
in the background. It will manifest itself in a physical sense
Yeah.
100% of the time. You can't run from it. You can only deal with it. My mom did that for her whole life. She suppressed everything and she would say, I put it in a pot, I put a lid on it, and I don't touch it. And what did she pass of at age 55? A perforated ulcer and bled out.
Oh, wow.
So she put it so far in the pot that the pot exploded. And that's just me being transparent and sharing that it's important when you're triggered, understand and work through. So, Pauline, what are a few techniques to
Mhm.
kind of work through these triggers?
Well, since it happens emotionally, but there's also a visceral reaction. There's also a feeling.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've done, and I learned this in yoga a long time ago, is okay, breathe in light, white light. Imagine that light going down into the area of the body where you feel the physical discomfort. And then imagine and then exhale out through your mouth, and you're exhaling out the darkness. And a lot of times when I have people do this, and I say, well, what color is the energy that you're exhaling? And a lot of times they say it's black, or it's red, or it's gray, or it's brown. And we keep doing that until until the energy that's being exhaled starts to turn to a lighter color. And you don't need any training to do this. You can do this on your own with your own guided imagery. And it's just, again, breathing in the white light up through the nose, bring it, let's just say the triggers in the heart, bringing that white light circling it around your heart, and then let it out through the breath. And just imagine some dark gray, brown, ugly energy coming out. And that works very well. I mean, that's just one technique, and you can and as you're doing that, you can even say, I'm releasing the grief. I'm inhaling in peace, and I'm exhaling out grief, or I'm exhaling out anger or sadness. And so that's a very powerful thing to master, and anybody can do it.
Yes. So one of my favorite techniques, okay, is I'm in the shower. The magic happens in the shower. If
It
anybody
always
knows me,
does.
anybody follows my
It
page, oh my gosh, I love the shower. It's my conduit to spirit. I do my morning prayer, setting intention, everything. It is my direct line to spirit. But when something occurs that really has triggered me or really upset me, and I don't even know why, first thing I do is I kind of put in the forefront of who did it, right? And if it's these people, great. I know now what was triggering me or the individual. And then I say, why is it triggering me?
Yes.
I have to understand what actually occurred that triggered me, right?
Mhm.
No blanket statements here. Let's get to the exact details and the specifics. So if it's a person, what did they do? Well, they were inconsiderate, where they were this. Great. Now I've identified it. And then what I do is I see it come up, right? Because I bring it up and then I kind of remove it out my feed because I want to bring it to the surface of my consciousness. And then I see it go out of my feet. It's almost like mud or dirt kind of coming off your body. And I see it go down the drain. Then right? And we talk about this with, natural law, universal natural law. What we remove, we have to replace.
Right.
So then I envision, okay, and I tell myself, it is okay. I give myself permission to release specifics
Mhm.
that does no longer serve my highest and best. I release this and let this go. Now I envision a gold light or divine light, and that could be any color that resonates with you.
Yes.
God of your own understanding. And if for me, it's this beautiful color of blue, right? And I see it just kind of encapsulate and rinse over me. And then I give myself and I tell myself, I removed it and now I replace it with knowing everything will work out the way it's supposed to in divine order. That's the part of surrender because I don't know
Yes.
what it's going to happen, but it's
So
all going to work out.
it's all that's all very beautiful. It's all beautiful. It really is. Your process is more lengthy than mine. But I try not to think too much. I try to just feel and exhale it all out. But I like what you reaffirm. I do like the positive that you reaffirm, and it is absolutely true. What is being released does get filled up. The way I call it, the way I reference it is, it's like the soul automatically begins to step forward and fill that area with something positive, because the soul is there. It's not gone, it's there, and it's only being suppressed by that darkness. So when that darkness is out, it's almost like the soul just automatically fills it up. And you acknowledge that, whether you're using blue light or gold light, you are acknowledging that being filled up. Yeah, I think it's very powerful. Look, you can journal, you can do a lot of things, but I think that what we just explained here is very simple and anybody can do it.
Buddy, the hard part to all of this is not the actual doing, right? It's the understanding.
Yes, the acknowledgement of what you need to let go of.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. That's where all the magic happens.
Yes.
I mean, if you can understand, even in a reading, when I'm doing a reading, okay, I always say understanding leads to healing.
Yes.
Case in point, it
Admit
is what it is.
admitting that you feel a certain way and it doesn't make you feel good, but making the choice then to release it, to let it go. Very empowering.
It is, but it's also very hard because what it does is it also forces you, okay, to be very honest with
Yes.
yourself. Here's the thing about when you go into your healing journey, be honest.
Well, you have
Be
to,
honest.
otherwise nothing will happen. And that
You
would
can,
be a very good indicator if you're doing healing work and nothing's really changing. Maybe you're not being as honest with yourself as you need to.
yeah. Well, and I'm sure you see this, Pauline, in your work, is I'll do readings and I bring through a lot of traumatic experiences and I'll say, well, this person may have, contributed to it. They did this, they did this. And even though it was horrific and abusive, the first thing that they'll do is, but they loved me or they didn't know any better. They always defend. Be honest. We're not attacking you. We're not making you, you're not getting branded with a scarlet letter, but be honest with yourself. That was caused by an emotion or a trauma that happened to me. Own it. Be responsible. Be honest, because that's the only way you're going to be able to remove it and heal.
Yeah. Yeah. Own it with empowerment and not victimization. And and just out there for people out there, if you've read my book or if you haven't read my book, please do, because there's a lot of examples of exactly what Richard and I are talking about today in The Little Blue Room, Awakening the Soul by Pauline Raffaella. There's a lot of examples in here that I give of my own life and of the triggers that I experienced when I started doing the healing work, and how deep I had to go into myself and how I had to be honest with myself. I couldn't stay on the surface. I had to be honest with myself and go a little deeper into myself and let myself feel some of that shame or some of that stupidity or some of that insecurity. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any more comments there? I see.
Oh my gosh. I'm pulling double duty here, Pauline.
Okay.
So let's kind of go through with some of them because I think this is a great opportunity. I mean, the last comment we had was Joanne, and then we have Cynthia. I've recently retired from an unfulfilling position after many years to move towards my purpose as a healer. Great job, Cynthia. Woohoo! I
Wonderful.
feel like I'm wading through mud and post-retirement paperwork that's taking my time and energy. I am meditating and doing self-healing almost every day. Good things are happening, but this old stuff is really weighting me down. Well, here's the funny part too, is people think when they do shadow work, and I know that's in your book, Pauline.
Yeah.
Again, I have Love Your Shadow Self. It's a prompted journal, helps and expedites the process. You can find this on Amazon, Hurting the #2 Healing publications, along with this little engine that could. That's amazing. Lines, signs, and symbols from your loved ones journal. How to do it correctly. Okay. So just because people say they're doing healing, what are they really doing? Okay. It's like, Pauline, you want to eat dinner tonight? Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm going to make you a bologna and cheese sandwich. Well, I really don't want that. I don't eat processed meat and I don't eat cheese. I don't eat dairy. So are you having quality of work? Are you doing something of quality that really is working? Here's one of the biggest tips, and I did this myself. Write a letter.
Mm.
Write a letter to the person or the situation, and from your perspective, get it out and release it. Be honest and transparent. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about punctuation. Just let it out. And when you're done, fold it up and burn it and release it. Then write a letter to yourself of forgiveness that you went through that you spent many years at a job that maybe didn't appreciate you or was unfulfilling, and childhood traumas or experiences you went through. Forgive yourself. It's very empowering. And when you're done, burn that and release it. Let it go. Let it go.
And as the triggers are healed, that happiness, maybe you're going to become one of those people that walks around always happy, that triggers other people who aren't as happy. But you become happy, you become peaceful on the inside, and oftentimes you feel a lot of love in your heart, even if things aren't perfect.
They'll never be perfect.
Right.
They'll never be perfect
Right.
because we're constantly evolving. We're shifting of consciousness. So we have, let's see, another one, Marivelle. We have, I so enjoy your podcast, makes my day. Thank you for this. Kissy face and praying hands. Thank you, Marivelle. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Marivelle. Much of love to you. I know who Marivelle is.
Oh, excellent. And then we have somebody, Barb. Hi to everyone. Hi, Barb. Let's see. And she actually wrote a comment. I talked to you 2 weeks ago. You advised I needed to work on myself. Last week, I was disappointed. My ex disappointed me again. I know I need to get back on track and get out for this good. Get out. Empower yourself. Remember, is that people hold on because they have insecurities. They hold on because they are understanding of codependency. They feel like they need this. So examine who created this, Barb. Who created the insecurities or the sense of codependency? I need this person or I need that affection from them, right? Who did that? Was that mom? Was that dad? Was that a brother? Was that an ex-husband? Whatever it is. And then there's where you write your letters to release and let go.
Yes, it takes a little bit of work, right? It doesn't happen by the snap of a finger. It takes a little bit of work.
Oh, it's all work.
It's all work, but it's good work. It is ultimately very rewarding work because the end result, the outcome is so worth it because it's you.
And then we have Cynthia that said, thank you with the big red heart. And Maribel said, yes, it's me, Pauline. Hello.
Hi. Yes.
So, and then Barb said, thank you. So, listen, everyone, if you look out just walk out in public and you start seeing, lots of people, I guarantee
Oh,
100% of them on some level need some type of healing.
oh,
You are not the only one. It may feel like you're on an island of one, that you are your own Statue of Liberty on that little island and are surrounded by a big city, but you are not. We're all going through this.
yeah.
We're all experiencing the need to heal on some level. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Empower yourself. Like Pauline keeps saying, empower yourself. Start to love and accept you for you and let go of all the stuff that does not work for you.
And that was something that early on in when I started really healing myself, that I had to become aware of, I wasn't alone in my pain or my insecurity. All right. Because initially, sometimes you feel like you are, that there's nobody else out there who's feeling what you're feeling, who's triggered by the things that you're triggered by. And it's not true. And Spirit said to me, like kind of jokingly, as I was, because I was already kind of clairaudient at this time, and I was looking into myself and I was blocked, and I was like, I can't get any deeper. And Spirit said to me, I heard it in my head, oh, do you think you're the only one who has these issues? You're the only one who feels insecure or not good enough? And it was like it opened the floodgates because it made me feel so much better. I'm not alone. We're all in this together. We all have these things that trigger us that we need healing. So, and the more that each one of us takes responsibility for the things that we have to heal within ourselves, the more light we bring to the matrix, the more light we bring to the planet. And that helps other people heal, whether we know them or not. That works on a collective level, global level.
Absolutely. And Pauline, just for people that haven't purchased your book yet, when you were in that little blue room, how long did you spend there?
Well, I mean, the journey was like 30 years, but I spent a very intense 7 years in what I call graceful isolation. And I wasn't isolated or quarantined or anything, but I was in that room like, 80%, 70% of every day, just reading, healing, meditating, crying, journaling, stamping, screaming, punching, letting it out and letting the higher self, the higher version of me emerge. So it's work, but then there were times when I would go so deep, Richard, I would come out of it and feel completely euphoric. Euphoria that I had never experienced before or had even known existed. I was completely euphoric. And everything I looked at was like glistening. I was like up in the ethereal realm. So it's worth it.
Well, and that's that freedom you talked about.
Total freedom.
You're not held back by any I always say trauma mind healed brain. You start looking through it with a different set of optics.
Yes.
So when you think, this is going to be like a one and done. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I sat there, I meditated and I did this. I grabbed, my little thing. I put on some meditation music and I'm good. I'm good. You're not good. It took Pauline 7 years of doing this work. Can it happen sooner? Absolutely. Can it be longer? Absolutely. But the healing journey is a lifelong road that we walk. And when things come up, when a tree is in your way, which is a trigger, you look at the tree, can I walk over it? And you go over it. You do the healing process to move forward and progress. It's evolution,
Yeah.
you know,
And
it's
I
evolution.
I had gone very deeply, and not everybody will reach that level of depth. I'm sure you have, Richard, but a lot of people won't, or it's not easy to get there. You really have to let yourself open up. But you do it and you start it. And when you start to really feel good about yourself, I used to almost look forward to I would feel the waves coming up, right? Something would trigger me and I would feel the wave and I would be like, oh, here we go. And I write about this in the book. So you will read about specific instances of exactly what Richard and I are talking about. And I would let the waves come up and I would let them out. And in my mind, I would say, you're letting go of this, you're letting go of this, and you're becoming that. And let it go. I almost started to look forward to it. That's how good it made me feel afterwards.
It's like a dopamine rush, really is. It's like a high. I mean, I don't know it's a spiritual high. I don't know what to say, but
That's
when you
good.
work through something, it's
Yeah.
almost like, I want to pound it out and like celebrate and because you're doing something that most people can't do and you're facing things, I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
And it was very traumatic. It was a bloodbath inside in my subconscious. But once I kind of dealt with it, and it took a few years, but once I dealt with it,
Yeah.
the person that I did that to represented themselves in my life. And when I encountered them, they had not changed. I changed, and
Yes.
they no longer triggered me.
Yes.
Now, the
Yes.
hard part to this is when you are no longer triggered, you also have to respect yourself enough to maintain boundaries.
Yes.
Healthy, fortified boundaries. Don't cave in because you will get the temper tantrums. You'll get the guilt trips. You'll get everything. Fortify that, support it, put the beams, and then respect yourself enough to say, yeah, that doesn't work for me.
Right. You're able to maintain your center and your balance in the face of that person or that area or these situations that once triggered you. It's really talk about self-love. To me, that's like the ultimate self-love right there, the ultimate sense of empowerment.
Yes, a
I
boundary really is. And you know what's funny? At the end of the day, I'm telling you, when you sit back and look and it's hard to impose it and you feel guilty and all this stuff, a lot of times it's the impact or the trauma response, whatever it is. Oh my gosh, it is like, oh, it's unbelievable. Again, the
Yes,
dopamine rush.
I love I love that analogy. It's a good rush. Good, good. So I hope we have covered the topic enough for people to understand what the triggers are, what we need to do with them, that they're connected to old wounds, and we have the power to heal it. We need to take control of ourselves and start to take these steps to release these triggers.
Absolutely. So if you are interested, you can go to Amazon, buy Pauline's book, The Little Blue Room. You can search it. It is unbelievable. We've had many of our listeners and viewers purchase it and rave about it. Also, if you are looking to do some healing, go to Love Your Shadow Self. Again, you can find this on, Hurting to Healing publications on Amazon, along with all of the prompted journals. We have one for everything, including signs and symbols from your loved ones. This journal is absolutely amazing. Again, it's not just blank pages. This kind of takes you step by step through the whole thing. Check us out. So, Pauline, what do you have going on? How can people reach you?
Yes, if
What do you?
anybody wants to work with me privately, and I also have online events and things like that, you can reach me through my website, paulineraffaella.com. You log in, And you can send me a message from there, which is Pauline@paulineraffaella.com, and reach out to me. Love to have a conversation. October, the only thing I have going on right now is because I am slowing down a little bit, Richard. I'm going to admit I'm slowing down a little bit and need a little bit of rest and a little bit of recharging. And so October, I have the class with my friend and psychic medium, Cindy Sansone. And we're talking about intuition, connecting to spirit guides, becoming a little bit telepathic, becoming clairaudient. We're talking all about that. It's going to be a fun day. If anybody here on Long Island is interested, connect with me.
It's excellent. And for anybody that doesn't know Cindy, she was on our show. You can always go back in my page. You can check out, or you can go to Pauline's
YouTube.
YouTube.
They're all
And
uploaded there.
yes, and you can check it out. Again, she's amazing. And the two of them, I've heard nothing but amazing things, which is, it's a great experience. So, all right. For me, I have some things going on. I will be in Woodbridge, New Jersey next week at the Woodbridge Psychic Fair. It is going to be amazing. You can go on Facebook. I've listed it and posted it. Please DM me if you are interested in setting up a time or an appointment. Also, you can go to my website, richardlarocco.com. I will be at the Wilbur Tapestry Hilton Hotel December 10th or 11th, the 11th, for a gallery reading. So, if you're interested in the Central PA area, check it out. Lidditz is voted one of the best small little towns in the United States, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's in an old chocolate factory. So as you walking in, all you smell is milk chocolate. My inner fat child loves the place. Can't eat it, but it loves it.
Yes. Well, Richard is an amazing host when he does his gallery readings. We'd love to have you back here on Long Island at Patricia's, and hopefully that will happen next year. And the last time you were there was was huge, huge.
100 people. The gentleman, he goes, I didn't think you were going to get this many people. I would have opened up the whole entire restaurant to you. Well, next time. Next time, Sal. Yeah. Next time we'll do it. So everyone, I want you to have a great day. Remember, protect yourself energetically. Things are going to be transparent. The delusion, the illusion, delusion, the veil is thin.
Yes. So be prepared for the lunar eclipse next Wednesday. And we'll be back on Thursday with a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Pina LaGiudice, and we'll be talking about optimal wellness in today's world. So you don't want to miss that. I'm sure she's going to give us some great tips on how to stay healthy.
I'm actually really excited about this because I do not take normal medications. So big pharma, things like that. So this is right in my wheelhouse. Yep. I love this stuff. Natural healing is the way to go. And it's going to be part of the new earth and the new consciousness, which we talked about, Pauline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is the way forward. So we're excited to have her on.
All right, everyone, have an amazing week, and we will see you back next Thursday at 3 p.m. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Much love.
Much love.